Hey guys, Joey, back for another video. It's been a little bit, and we've made some progress on the new tank. The stand is in the house, and the tank is in the house. So I'll address the stand first. So the stand is clearly not finished. Won't stay like this forever. The stand is going to actually be wrapped with the same stone as my fireplace over here, so it'll match that. Give you guys this angle over here. And then we'll have two doors on this side, and then that will be the sump end, and then we have the dry side on the left there. So as for the tank, we got a 220 gallon tank, 72 inches long by 25 inches high by 30 inches wide. So I went with those dimensions rather than the standard dimensions because I like the wider tanks a little bit better than the taller. Originally, it's kind of funny, when I got into the hobby, I started with a 30-inch tall tank, and I really enjoyed that look, and then just found that I'd rather have that width for the aquascape and whatnot. So it's funny how we our opinions evolve, right? So as you can see, I'm a pretty short guy. This is my my eye height, so this would be my view down the peninsula end of the tank. And I also picked up the light fixture that I'm going with. So I went with the T5 ATI. I think this is the power module maybe. And either way, I got it for a pretty good deal from Bulk Resupply. I was just scrolling through randomly and happened to find myself in the open box section, and then there this was for $475, and brand new these are roughly $800, so about $300 off I got it for. It does have a little bit of damage on the reflectors. As you can see, they're a little dented, but I'm not really worried about that. It's about $18 for each deflector. So if I wanted to fix it, it would cost me about $150, which in the end still saves me $150 on this light fixture. So the light fixture is going to be 60 inches, eight bulbs. I'll supplement that with some SB reef bars, but for now, we'll just leave it with the T5s. As you can see, the tank here, it's going to be kind of Euro-braced. It's kind of a hybrid approach. If you don't do it this way, these are going to be solid pieces, so solid trim pieces. So there'd be no way for light to penetrate through. And I told them when I was talking about getting it built, I said light needs to penetrate through, because on my 120, it has a single brace in the center, and I could see the shadowing effect that it has on it. So we had to upgrade for another 200 bucks on this Euro bracing hybrid approach, and then I got the clear pieces of glass going across. I think I'm gonna like this a lot better anyways, because this will limit a lot of salt creep. I like to do the micro bubbles, so it will also help prevent fish from jumping as well. Usually when the fish jump, it always seems to be up in a corner or somewhere along those lines. It's not usually right through the middle of the tank. I'm not saying it can't happen though. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the quality of the tank. I think up here some of the seams got a little bit sloppy, but I'm not really worried about that. So I have two bulkheads drilled in the back, and this will be for the external overflow. So a box will go inside, and then the return lines and everything will drain out of a box that goes on the back side, and I'll show you that back end in a second. And then we have two return lines, one right there and one over there. Those are going to be 3/4 inch return lines. This isn't really actually painted. They call it painted, but it's actually just like some kind of film. So anyways, you could peel it off if you really wanted to, and you know, it wouldn't be permanent. So the external box will fit here, plumbing will go down. I got this hole drilled into the stand, and the pipes will go down, and then I'll have plenty of room to, you know, do any maintenance or anything back here that I need to. One problem that I've already had with the tank, and I didn't mention it, this is a Planet Aquarium tank. The one problem that I've had is the return overflow box. So this is the box that I'm referring to that goes on the inside of the aquarium, and then you can remove the top so you can do maintenance on the teeth and whatnot. But of course, when I get the tank, I go to try to put this on like any rational person would, and it doesn't fit. So what happens is, when I try to put this into the tank, the top portion here is too big, so it's actually hitting the Euro bracing and not allowing it to go in all the way. And when I measured it, this might be a little bit funny to try to describe, but if I measure from the top of the bulkhead here to the top of the box, it's 2 1/4 inches. And if I go to the tank and measure from the top of that bulkhead to the top of the bracing, it is 1 3/4 inches. So if you do a little bit of math there, you can see that it's 1/2 inch too big. Originally, I said to the fish store, hey, this doesn't work, can you contact Planet? It said no problem. Contacted them, they said, hey, we just had a bad batch of boxes, we'll get them shipped out another one. They sent me this other one, and don't you know, it's the same problem. So, waiting on their reply for another one. Basically, I gave them the dimensions, and we'll see what happens there. So that's kind of the bad. Let me talk about another good thing about this aquarium. Inside the tank, there is a plastic corner protector. So what this piece does is allows me to take a magnet and just slam it into the corner to clean up any gunk that gets trapped in the corner, and I'll never have to worry about damaging the silicone. Let me try to get you a inside view. So that feature is pretty awesome, because right now on my 120, I'm always, like anyone else, I'm pretty careful when I'm going into the corners, and sometimes I just avoid it altogether. And then there's stuff like down here, you can never really get to this stuff unless you go in there by hand, because you don't want to damage your seams. So I'm looking forward to that. The last bits I want to update you guys on this aquarium would be the lighting mount. So what I want to do for the lighting mount is like what Reef Dudes did, and he did a 80-20 arm that goes up and then comes across. So I'm going to do that as well, but it's a pretty significant span, so it's going to cost me a little bit to get the materials and make sure it's going to be sturdy. What I'm going to go with is Series 15 1.5 by 4.5 inch profile extrusion, and then of course I'll have all the support I need for the connection. That will be bolted to the tank, the connection pieces, and then I went with that profile because that profile gives me only 0.22 inches of deflection, so around 1/4 inch of deflection, with a assumed end loaded weight. So if you're not familiar with deflection is basically how much a material is going to bend under the weight of something. So if you have a high amount of deflection and it's end loaded, it's going to sag. So you're going to see that sag when you're looking at the material. So you want it to be, of course, as straight as possible. A little bit of deflection is okay on this light fixture, because with the hanging kit you can individually raise and lower one side, so you can adjust for that deflection. So that won't be a big deal, only 1/4 inch. You won't even notice that, and I'm gonna mount it about 18 or 20 inches above the tank, so I have plenty of room now or in the future to adjust to whatever height I want. If I want it right 3 inches off the tank, I could have it there. If I want it 20 inches high, I could have it there. And I'm over engineering it in case I ever upgrade to a light fixture that is heavier. And if I downgrade to something, you know, like LEDs that are real light, I can go ahead and do that. So that's not a big deal either. So just an update on the main tank here, the 120, soon to be dead 120. Can't wait to tear this thing down and get all these fish into that tank. It's just, it's such a different look, and now this just doesn't do anything for me, just at all. And I can't wait to see my fish, you know, explore the new tank and you know, make that their new home. It's going to be good for them. You know, not much has changed within the tank. Some of the SPS that I bought, you know, a couple weeks ago now, those haven't made it. I'm not entirely sure why. The purple stylo, it's still doing amazing. So, you know, hey, I'll just keep going until that thing dies. Then I know I'm really doing something wrong. But from that Frag House Corals order that I have, the bird's nest here is still doing all right. That bird's nest is doing well. And I have the Millie that I showed is right there. And the green slimer is barely hanging on to life. It fell, so I'm just leaving it because it's pretty much dead anyways. So it can figure out what it wants to do with its life right there. And there's a local hobbyist, local legend. You might know him on Reef to Reef. His name on Reef to Reef is Diesel. He's breaking down his tank, or broke it down now, and selling off all his corals, fish, equipment, everything, completely getting out of the hobby. And I was able to snag a couple things off of him. One was this huge Christmas tree Monty. I grabbed that for 20 bucks. The thing about this, it's been in my tank for about a week now. I've tried this as a small 1-inch frag 2 different times, and I didn't make it both times. So I'm not sure. I guess it's doing okay right now, but I'm kind of expecting it to die. But it was $20, and I paid, you know, $40 between both of those frags before, so we'll see. I also picked up some scraps that he had, a little jack-o'-lantern and a red Monty. I don't know, some type of Monty, and it's red, so that's what it is to me. It's a red Monty. And then I think that is it as far as some additional livestock that's went into the tank. The anemone has now kind of swung around this way. It's still mounted in the same spot, which was kind of on the other side. Its foot still is on the other side, but for whatever reason, it decided it wanted to face this way, which is awesome because now I could actually enjoy it and then, you know, actually see it instead of just see a few tentacles that were popping up. I really wish the clowns would host it, but I'm not really forcing them at this point. And maybe in the new tank, I'll force them. My interstellar mushroom is doing absolutely incredible. Maybe you could say it's doing stellar. That's a bad joke. It did have a baby as well, and since it's like 3.5, 4 inches open right now, you can't see it, but a baby is right here. So looking forward to that growing out. And one last piece of update would be from Diesel. I also picked up an Apex, so I guess I'm really into this now, huh? I'm advanced now at this point. So this is I believe this would be considered the Apex Classic. I have 2 energy bars, the controller, the PM2 module, whatever the hell that does, WXM module, whatever the hell that does. I've pretty much just set it up to run just the probes right now. I'm going on vacation next week, so I didn't want to hook anything up because this is secondhand. It's been running for a long time, and I'm sure nothing would happen, but I don't want to set something up and either program something wrong or something happen where, you know, I transferred all my equipment over to the Apex and then it fails, you know, while I'm on vacation. Basically, you know, I could still monitor my temperature, I can monitor my pH, and I can monitor, you know, if there's power. So if I get any alerts, I can, you know, let my neighbor know, and he can come over and kind of take things over from there. On that note, I also ordered a battery air stone. So if a power outage is detected, that battery air stone will kick on, and hopefully, you know, we'll be good to go. On the note of the Apex, I also noticed when I calibrated the pH probe that my pH is pretty low. So right now we're reading 7.66. The highest I've seen it peak throughout the day, which is around 6 p.m., was 7.71, and around the night it's going to about 7.5. So I thought this was pretty weird. It's not many people live in this house, just me and my wife and a couple of dogs, and of course my cat. And it's just really weird. We have really tall ceilings, but you know, the house does have spray foam in the walls, so I'm not sure if maybe that's why, but I do micro bubbling at night, so that's not really doing anything at all. So at this point there's only one option, and that is to drill a hole through the wall of the house and pull in some fresh air. So I ordered some stuff from Bulk Race Supply, and that should be coming right before my vacation. So Skims changed their air silencer design on their skimmers. What they have right now, as you can see on mine, is they just have these little holes in the top, and then that's how air is actually being sucked in through. There's a tube right here. You can't see it because of this nasty salt creep, but if you could see it, I don't want to touch it right now. You would see there's a tube, and then that's what feeds the air line, and then this valve controls how much air is actually being sucked in that tube, and that gets sucked in through these holes. So if you wanted to set this up for outside air, you would basically have to bypass this and pull it, you know, connect it into this silicone line. So what they did now is they made a little tube that kind of sticks up to where you can put an external air intake on it, and then you still have the valve, and you don't have these holes. So I didn't know that they did that until I went and looked kind of randomly, because I couldn't find any information of anyone ever running one of these skimmers outside, but I've seen plenty of other people do it on YouTube before. So this is a pretty long update. I guess I have a lot to say, and I never really shut up. Alright guys, just wrapping up here. Actually, when I was making that last part of the last little cut there, I was running late to an appointment, so that's what it looks like when you're doing a video and you realize you're late to an appointment. So a few other things I just want to mention real quick. I also ordered some stuff off Bulk Reef Supply, a triple stage, was it the DI upgrade. So I also ordered the silencer, as I mentioned, and some parts to make that happen. And I ordered a couple of things for the Apex for calibration. And probably the coolest thing I bought from Diesel was this magnifying lens. This is what is these gear ones, what do these go for? Like, I don't know, 75, 80 bucks, and got it for $5. Can't beat that. And this is the best $5 I've spent in this hobby for sure. I can't stop going up and just looking at everything with this. And I have the inside for it, but I don't really see the need to use that. I just like to kind of hold it. And man, this thing's awesome. Look at that. Anyways guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. This video's extremely long. This is what happens when you try to make one long update video instead of just doing them progressively as things actually happen. But I'm pretty lazy, so this is what you're getting this time. And as I do some other projects, install that new triple stage, I'll put some videos out on that stuff. And any updates for the new tank, I'll make those as well. You look forward to, maybe the next one will be either setting up the light fixture, or we'll be talking about some live rock. Maybe we'll just talk about how this is actually all just a playhouse for my cat. So I'll catch you guys in the next one.